This should be a very quick update video to the previous video I made on this cheap Boost solar charge controller, and I missed a couple of things and I had a couple of comments and questions, and I'd like to try and answer them now. And the first thing I'd like to do is point out my silly mistake, and of course the B stands for battery voltage, the P stands for panel voltage, and the C of course stands for current, and I think that's the panel current. However, I'm going to forgive myself a little bit because the current meter on here doesn't seem terribly well calibrated according to the Porta Power at least. And the second quite important question I didn't answer was, does this float charge the batteries or does it cut off entirely? Well, as you can see here on the Porta Power, it's at 28.9 volts, and that's ever so slightly high because this is meant to cut off at 28.8 on the current setting. But what you can see is there's absolutely no current flowing into those lithium ion cells whatsoever. So it does indeed cut off the charge entirely. And of course I've been watching this meter for some time, but I didn't manage to capture the point when it switched off entirely, but it was delivering 9 or 10 milliamps for quite a while into these cells before, as you can see, it shut off entirely. Now, the last point that people made was, you didn't open it up enough. We want to see everything inside, please, Adam. And, well, I am a little bit reluctant to do that because that MOSFET there, or diode, or whatever it is that's attached to the side of the case, is easy to access. But on the other side, this one is buried quite a long way in, and there's other components, and I think that's going to be difficult to put back together. But now I've completed these final tests, well, shall we give it a go? So the last of the end cap screws coming out here, and hopefully then I can unscrew those FETs or diodes attached to the heatsink, and we can get the circuit board out. So if I just pull that free and do the same on the other side, hopefully, well, let's go for it. Unfortunately, I heard a nut fall inside there, so that's going to be difficult to get back in, I think. Oh yes, it's a piece of aluminium threaded, tapped there, and that obviously holds on the diode, so, or whatever it is. Let's see if we can coerce the circuit board out of this case, and indeed we can. So with the circuit board out of the case and everything exposed, here's what I've been able to identify. We've got a HC595 shift register down here on the left, which is obviously controlling the 7-segment displays. This seems to be the main microcontroller here, but unfortunately it has had all its distinguishing marks scrubbed off, as have much of the many of the op amps here, but they are clearly op amps. At the back here we have an MBR 20100CT, which is a dual Schottky diode package, I believe, and next to it we have an NCE 15H10A, which unfortunately I haven't been able to identify. Down in the bottom right here we have a 2SC2073 power transistor. There are two 100 volt 220 microfarad capacitors here on the battery side of the circuit, and two 63 volt 680 microfarad electrolytic capacitors here on the solar side, right next to the solar input. There's also this fairly hefty diode here, which I believe is a blocking diode, and there's also another one here right next to the battery for reverse polarity protection. Now let's see if I can put it all back together again. And the whole thing slides in nicely and fits inside the case, so that lives roughly there. The aluminium on this side shouldn't be too difficult to put back on. I just need to hold it and screw at the same time. So this is probably going to be a 3 or 4 handed operation, or is it just the 2? That's not bad. So that is clamping on there. I won't tighten it all the way up yet because I'm not convinced I've got the circuit board in exactly the right position. Now for the one on the right hand side. So you probably can't see, but I have just managed to line that up just so hopefully a screw will go in between the 2 bits of heat shrink thermal tubing. And now I need to get this down there. Well, that's going to need a set of long nose pliers, I think. So with some long nose pliers, a screw already through the hole, and the camera in the way, I think I may have just got that in. Yeah, so if I just straighten that up and tighten this, yeah, I think I've managed to get that back on. Now I'll just tighten the other side. Now I'll just pop the ends back on, and hopefully this thing will fire back up. And there it is, charging once more my small lithium ion pack. And you know what, I really like this little solar charge controller. It's a little bit niche, the fact that it's boosting the voltage from the solar panel up to the battery voltage, but actually I can see why that's useful in certain areas. It does cut off the charge entirely like it should do. It doesn't cut off at 10 or 5%, but then what is 10 or 5% when we're dealing with solar, because the current fluctuates throughout the day. The fact that you can adjust the termination voltage to exactly where you want it is really handy, and you can be sure that this isn't going to overcharge your lithium pack. The only slightly disappointing thing about it is this display, I guess, but to be honest, once you've set it up, well, you might just turn it off entirely and stop wasting that power. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little update. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, comment if you can, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.